What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue with our 2023 college football predictions for the upcoming 2023 college football season. Up next are the Cincinnati Bearcats, a team coming off a 9-4 season in 2022. They were in their last year of the American Athletic Conference. This team went 9-4 overall last year. And this was a pretty good Cincinnati team last year. My thoughts on them in 2023. First off, they're heading to the Big 12 this year in their first year of conference play in the Big 12. So this is pretty huge for Cincinnati fans and also huge for the Cincinnati football program. We'll see how they look like in their first year of the Big 12. My thoughts on them, though, I think they're still going to be pretty good. I don't think this will be the same Cincinnati team that we saw a year ago and a couple years ago where they made that college football playoff run. Luke Fickell is now gone as the head coach of Cincinnati. If he was still here at Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati would be pretty good, but you look at the overall production coming back for this team, 46% overall production coming back, 42% on the offensive side of the football, and then defensively 49%. So yeah, they may have lost a lot, but I think this is still a really good Cincinnati team. Also, Scott Satterfield coming over as the head coach for Cincinnati. Looking at the schedule for this Cincinnati team, they'll play Eastern Kentucky, Pittsburgh on the road, and Miami of Ohio University Redhawks on September the 16th. That's who they get in their non-conference schedule. And then you got the Big 12 here. They'll play Oklahoma at home on September 23rd. But if you look at the schedule, no Kansas State or Texas on the schedule, which is the good news here for this Cincinnati team. You have to play BYU, Oklahoma State, Houston, and West Virginia on the road. Those are not really tough places to play. I mean, West Virginia and Oklahoma State probably could be their toughest road games, and they get three of the newcomers as well in the Big 12. They'll get BYU and Houston, the other newcomers in the Big 12, on the road this year. But overall, not a bad schedule for Cincinnati when they're in their first year of the Big 12. But let's go game by game now and give you an official prediction for this Cincinnati team. So they start things off here with Eastern Kentucky on September the 2nd. I think this should be a pretty easy win here for Cincinnati. I really don't see them struggling in this game. And I think they get an easy win over Eastern Kentucky here on September 2nd. I got Cincinnati starting out 1-0 for 2023. Then they'll play Pittsburgh on the road here in a non-conference matchup on September the 9th. Pittsburgh is a team that I have a lot of question marks for. I mean, they're really not really loaded at that wide receiver position like they were last year. And I just think this is going to be a step-back year for Pittsburgh. I really don't think they're going to be that terrible of a team. I just don't think they're going to make it quite to a bowl game this year, but I already did my prediction for this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive battle here between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, obviously, I think with home field advantage will get it done here. And I think they give Cincinnati their first loss of the season here in week number 2. And I think Cincinnati will now fall to 1-1. But then they'll take care of business against Miami of Ohio here at home on September 16th. And they should score at least about 30 or 40 points in that game, like kind of the same way with Eastern Kentucky. So I think Cincinnati improves to 2-1. Then they'll open up Big 12 play against Oklahoma here at home on September 23rd. Oklahoma is going to have a really good offense. I think with Dylan Gabriel coming back at quarterback, that's huge for this Oklahoma team. Defensively for Oklahoma is kind of what I'm concerned about for the Sooners, but I think Oklahoma's defense can really keep Cincinnati off the scoreboard for a little while in this game. I think in the first half, I think it is close, but second half, I think the Sooners are just way too much talented on the offensive side of the football. I think Dylan Gabriel starts to really come out of the second half with a lot more explosiveness. And I think Oklahoma gets the win here against Cincinnati on their home turf here. I know Oklahoma is a team that, was kind of an up-and-down team last year, but I think Oklahoma is definitely going to be better this year, and this probably could be the only time we'll see Cincinnati taking on Oklahoma in the Big 12 because Oklahoma is heading to the SEC next year. So looking forward to that game, but that puts Cincinnati's record at 2-2. Then they'll play BYU on the road here on September 29th. This game is going to be on a Friday. I'm kind of looking forward to this matchup here between BYU and Cincinnati, two newcomers here in the Big 12. I think this is going to be a pretty good high-scoring ball game. I think both offenses will be pretty good on the day here in this one. And this also could be a night game here on a Friday, but I think defensively I do like BYU here in this game. I think the Cougars are the better team and the better roster in this one because they have the more experienced roster in this game and more production coming back than Cincinnati. So I think Cincinnati will lose a close shootout type ball game here against BYU on the road, and that puts Cincinnati's record at 2-3. They'll get a bye week after that BYU game. Then they'll play Iowa State at home on October 14th. Iowa State going to be a pretty good team this year. I think this team is definitely an underdog in the Big 12 this year, but like I said, like when it comes to the Big 12, it's a wide open conference every single year, and this is a conference that, it's hard to predict every single year as well, but I think Iowa State is a dark horse contender in the Big 12 this year. I don't think they're definitely going to be up there with the top teams, but I think they're up there right where they are. They were young last year. They were really young last year, but Cincinnati does get this game at home, and with that being said, I think that's what it gets it done here. I think this is a low-scoring type game, but I do like the Bearcats here at home against against Iowa State, and I think they do get the win here over Iowa State after 2 straight losses, and they're kind of desperate at this point to get some wins in the Big 12. So they get their first Big 12 win against Iowa State. Then they play Baylor at home on October 21st. Baylor, I think, is going to be much improved as a team from where they were a year ago. Baylor was kind of pretty young last year. This year, they're definitely going to be more experienced on the roster. But this will be a really tough task here for Baylor to win on the road at Cincinnati. Cincinnati does have home field advantage in this game. I don't think the rosters are pretty even, but it's kind of hard to tell how good Baylor is going to be after a pretty tough season last year. So I think Cincinnati in a 50-50 matchup here. I think Cincinnati does get it done here, and I think Cincinnati improves to 4-3 with a win over Baylor. And I think mostly on this schedule, Cincinnati's games will be pretty much 50-50 games. Next game on the road at Oklahoma State. I don't really see this one being a 50-50 game, though, and this game is on October 28th. I know Oklahoma State lost a lot of people in the transfer portal, but let's be honest, this team is still going to have talent on both sides of the football. This team should be overall pretty good, even though they lost a lot of guys in the transfer portal, but it's on the road. I really don't see Cincinnati going on the road and defeating the Cowboys in this one, so I think Cincinnati will fall to Oklahoma State here, and that puts their record at 4-4. Then they'll play UCF at home on November 4th. This is an experienced UCF team, and this is the first time that Cincinnati will play UCF in the Big 12 Conference. Looking forward to this matchup. I think this is kind of similar to the BYU game. It's going to be a high-scoring matchup here and a high-scoring game. I think both defenses will kind of struggle in this game, but I think that in the month of November, it's, about the time where teams start to get better, and we kind of start to figure out where Cincinnati is, and we're going to start to figure out where UCF is as well. But with this game being at home and obviously a 50-50 game, tough one to call for me, I'm going to go with Cincinnati here with home field advantage in a 50-50 matchup. Like I said, shootout-type ball game, but I think Cincinnati comes away with the win. At the end of the day, they're playing at home in this one, and I think Cincinnati improves to 5-4. Then it's Houston on the road on November 11th. Houston's got a lot of production coming back on the offensive side of the football. Defensively is what I'm concerned about for Houston. I think this is another shootout-type ball game. I think Cincinnati is going to compete in this game, but Houston, I think their offense is a little bit better than Cincinnati's. I think offensively, if you look at that percentage number right there where they have a lot of guys coming back, it's at 77%. I think Houston has that advantage, and they also have home field advantage in this game. So in a shootout-type ball game, I think the Cougars get it done here over Cincinnati, and I think Cincinnati falls to 5-5. Then they'll play West Virginia on the road after that on November 18th. And they're playing back-to-back road games here with Houston and West Virginia. These are kind of tough back-to-back road games, but not really difficult. West Virginia is another team that I'm kind of concerned with this year. Defensively, they should be pretty strong, but I think this is another shootout-type ball game. I think West Virginia, though playing at home in a shootout-type ball game, will get it done here. And I done my West Virginia prediction like a few weeks ago, and I did predict the Mountaineers to win this one. I think West Virginia is going to be a lot better than they were last year as well, and I think Cincinnati falls to 5-6. Then they'll end things out here with Kansas at home on November 25th. This is a big game. This is going to be a huge game here between the Jayhawks and the Bearcats. This could be a defensive battle. It could be a shootout-type game. I'm going to choose it as a shootout here, though. I think Cincinnati is kind of desperate for a win at this point. They're on a 2-game losing streak after losing back-to-back road games to Houston and West Virginia. They're playing at home in this game against an experienced Kansas Jayhawk roster, but I think Cincinnati is going to pull off an upset here. If Kansas was ranked in the top 25 by this point, I think it's definitely one of those upset alert type games. I'm going to go with Cincinnati here to knock off Kansas here at home on November 25th. and I got Cincinnati finishing their first year under the Big 12 in 2023 with a record of 6-6, and I also have them getting 4 wins in the Big 12 this year. I think that's a fair prediction for Cincinnati. I know they lost a lot of production from last year, but I still see this Cincinnati team being really good this year. I really don't see them being terrible. I think this team is going to at least make it to a bowl game as well for 2023. And that's my prediction for the Cincinnati Bearcats for their first year in the Big 12 and their first year as a Power 5 team. Let me guys know what you think about Cincinnati, what you think their record is for 2023. And stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.